Logan Power Show. Welcome, everybody.
The Logan Power Show.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Logan Power Show. It's me, your host, Calvin Logan. Definitely. So, hey, we're having some fun here. My name is Calvin Logan, the Logan Power Show. We nationwide, worldwide. We love y'all. Okay, got it. Hey everybody, welcome to the Logan Power Show. It's me, your host, Calvin Logan, live here in North Charleston, South Carolina. I'm live here in Destiny Church International, and I got with me a freedom fighter. He's currently the executive director of the community center here in North Charleston, South Carolina, but he's taking on bigger heights, where he's going to try and running right now to be the next part of the board, Consolidated Board for Charleston County School District, the one and only in the North Charleston area. He's the one with Mr. Lewis Smith. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, sir. And you?
Good. Glad to have you in the show.
Yes, sir. Very happy.
So tell us, sir, why have you decided to take this next leap of faith and being part of the school board district here in North Charleston, South Carolina?
Okay. I'm glad you asked me that question because we have found out there's a huge need for reform in the Charleston County School District, and I feel that I am the candidate for that. I am a reform candidate. We have several major issues in Charleston County School District. Amongst them is accountability and transparency.
Got it.
And those are the two issues that we will be focusing on.
Okay, got it. Accountability and transparency. So accountability, who needs to be held accountable? My question is to you, who do you think needs to be held accountable?
Okay, that's a good question. Who they need to be accountable to the community. They lost $18.1 million, and they have yet to come to the community and say where that money went.
Got it.
What we do know is how they're planning on balancing that budget with that loss of $18 million. They closed Lincoln High. They're looking at reassigning vice principals, and most importantly, they are getting away with this parent advocate program, and that's affecting our kids directly.
Got it. Now, transparency. What do you mean by transparency? What do we need to do? We say transparency, like what are you talking about?
Okay, there's three subjects that came up in the recent months that if we look at it, we'll say, wow, how did this come about? First of all, let's look at Lincoln High School, if you will. Lincoln High School was closed, and it made it appear that they just got a discussion a week before they closed it.
Got it.
Now, you and I know that it takes a while to lead up to a conclusion to close the high school.
Got it.
And why didn't it come to the public and say we're in the process of 6 months ago and say we're in the process of? And for them to use that $18 million as an excuse, then we have to scratch our heads. Where has the transparency come from? We can look at several, when they decided to close the schools of the arts. When did that discussion came about? Or how long was that in the process?
Got it.
So there's many areas that they have really not have been transparent as they should have been.
Okay. So we know that accountability and transparency is one of your major concerns as being the next candidate. So how will you change that?
Well, I think, now that's a huge question you just asked. How do you change a whole culture? How do you change the Charleston School District culture? That's one of the areas that we need to work on. Number one, the board has to tell the district that they are the bosses. it seems like the district is telling the board what to do. And when I say they are the bosses, if I'm elected, and I will be, I'm asking to represent 49,000 students.
Got it.
And with that comes the parents. In other words, we'll be answerable to the taxpayers and the people in that community.
Okay. So you're responsible for 49,000 plus students under your care. You're asking, you're the ones supposed to be giving the rules. From the top, bring it down. So what formula do you have in place? Any particular strategy? Because, everyone says, leadership is good from the top, the weakest link. So what areas have you seen that you can say, okay, this is what we need to improve on to make us one of the best out here?
Okay. Recently, late last year in Columbia, they showed a student being dragged across the classroom.
Got it.
And then our legislative did a bill called Disturbing the Schools. And in that bill, that's showing a lot of minority students, if you will, the prison to pipeline. That's the beginning of that. As I stated earlier on many occasions, we have kids as young as 8 and 9 years old being handcuffed and taken to jail.
Got it.
And we have a lot of those teachers that do not know how to communicate or understand the black culture.
Got it.
Now, when I say taken directly to jail, they are given a juvenile record starting as early as 8 or 9 years.
Wow.
May I repeat that? They're given a juvenile record starting as early as 8 or 9 years old.
Okay.
And this is what we call directly starting the prison, from school to prison pipeline.
Okay.
Now, I have an interesting statistic to throw at you.
Okay.
And the school district admitted it. They said 85% of the suspension, expulsions, handcuffs, what have you, is minority students.
Okay.
Black males.
Wow.
And we only make up 40% of the student body, of the 49,000 students. Something is absolutely wrong with that picture. And we've gone into looking at the classrooms. The classrooms we have teachers not understanding the culture. I believe the teachers need to go through a training, a cultural training, if you will, to how to deal with a different culture.
Okay.
That we have. Also, I believe, like I said earlier, we're looking at the parent advocacy groups.
Okay.
We know we have issues in our community with the parents.
Okay.
But for so long, we've been saying the parents aren't doing this and the parents aren't doing that. Well, if I go to the doctor and I have cancer, I wouldn't want the doctor to tell me that I have cancer. I want him to cure the problem.
Got it.
And the same thing applies to the educators, the lawmakers, and what have you. If we know we have an issue, let's work and try to work with the parents, educate the parents, so we can stop this madness that's happening in our community. When you look at 50% graduation rate, when you look at 2% of the schools using the ACT exam as a barometer, only 2% in the minority community is college ready. This is a crisis.
Got it.
The other day, I sat on a panel, and one of the sitting board members said that there was not enough books to go around.
Got it.
A sitting board member said there was not enough books at the beginning of the school year to go around.
Wow.
And he specifically said a lot of Title I schools don't have the books. I don't understand. When you ask me a very direct question about changing that culture, this is what we have to do, is change the culture, because we are losing too many of our children.
Wow. Now, for those that are looking now, and I'm going to dissect this real quick to bring it to Barney's, well, like really to the Barney's level, people who may have Calvin, break that down for me. Okay, he said there's 49,000 plus students under his care. 40% is African American. So he's pretty much saying there's the people that are getting in trouble is about 19,000, about 20,000 students that are in trouble. And you're saying that every student that's getting locked up, put in, at 8 or 9 years, because that is the law. A resource officer can put a criminal record on a child. There's not a type of limitation, but that's why you got to have a lawyer. That's why you have to have a lawyer. Those parents who have lawyers don't experience a problem. It's called a lawsuit because there's a certain way on how you care a child. That's why my father always tell me, our coach senior says, son, the law is very flexible. It's rubber. So one thing we have to keep in mind is that he mentions the culture. Because he sound like, he's like, well, man, Cal, sound like he's saying that the African-American students are uncontrollable, but they're not. It's always, you hear the great terminology, it takes a village to raise a child. That's number one. So one thing you have to keep in mind is that if I live somewhere and I see one race, it's all I see all the time. But when I go to school, when I go to see something different, I have to know how to change my environment, my mindset, how I do certain things, how I interact with people. So that's what he means by that, is that a teacher has to know. See, for me, I've been teaching kids for a long time. I've been teaching white, Hispanic, Asian, African American, because my mother was a teacher for 30 plus years. So she taught me on how you teach somebody. First, as an educator, you get to know where you come from first. Because no way in the world you can teach somebody else if you don't know who you are. That's the first thing. That's A, number one. B, number two, you have to understand this, is that a teacher can do just so much. They'll do their part, but then also the parent got to do their part. Because it's a two-way street. But if the dialogue is not there between the parent and the teacher, because teacher be overworked, means there's 30 students to one teacher. Now, I can handle that. Not every teacher can do that. Title I schools, those are the schools that get the funding in regards to food. See, I do my homework now. I'm no slow leak now. Title I schools means that the government gives those schools money for those kids to eat. Those have the programs called, it's not the program, it's like a smart program. School have kind of that you got to that parent. Trust me, I've been done. Now, for those that are watching to know what he was talking about, he's mentioned things that's very transparent. One, he was talking about really much what we have to do. You hear the terminology that it takes an actual village to raise a child. That's one thing we learned about. Another thing we talk about Title I schools. As you know, with a Title I school, those are the schools that get the benefits. And what I mean by the benefits, that school has all the benefits needed in regards to getting all the actual food needed every time in the morning. That's a school that has the opportunity, say, for instance, if there's a situation to where that school doesn't have to pay for after-school program. Like, a lot of times right now we have things called Kaleidoscope, where parents got to pay to have that kind of program. That could be like it costs $10 in the morning per day for a parent, and then after school could run between $35 per day, or it could be $100 per week. So a lot of those things that's coming about is what he's actually mentioning. Also, when he's also talking about, for instance, that the actual community working together, and how also he was mentioning to us that the cultural, well, as a teacher, you have to understand to know who you are first before you can actually teach somebody else. If you don't have an understanding of who you are, there's no way you can actually take care of somebody else. So there's a couple other things you have to keep in mind also. And then the teacher and parent dialogue has to be in place. And also, as a parent, if you think your child has been taken advantage of or something with a resource officer, that's to get a lawyer involved. And you can't say that all African-American kids are bad. It's impossible. Because if that's the case, then we need to change the whole entire system of how people are born, the bloodstream. You can't say because you're born a certain skin color, you're considered to be an animal or someone that is not able to be a good part of the society.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that. we can't expect all Afro American kids to be bad. But when you look at that 85%, in a school district of 49,000, and 85% of those people has been disciplined, handcuffed, it's suspension, expulsion. Something is wrong with that number. Now we went to back to let's talk about charter schools, if you will.
Sure.
I am against charter schools at the moment.
Okay.
When the first concept came up that about charter schools, it was great. We saw it as an opportunity to offer a lot of advantages to the minority student.
Got it.
However, in Charleston, South Carolina, it has become another way of segregation.
Okay.
And let's going back to what you just said a few seconds ago. Let's look at the academic magnet school.
Okay.
With a district of 40% minority or black, and at that academic magnet school, you only have 3% black.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Oh, I mean,
How did that happen? Also, now let's look at North Charleston High School,
Got it.
which is the people that is unable to send their kids across the district or what have you is right there at, say, North Charleston High. And at North Charleston High, guess what the percentage is? I'm not saying this is a racist thing, but I really firmly believe it's economics. It's economics, and we have to change that. We have to change that culture.
Got it. Got it. Well, tell people how can they get in contact with you.
Okay, they can get in contact with me, obviously, through my Facebook page, my web page. We're out there in the community all over. We're out there in the community all over. People, for example, we have an event in Mosquito Beach today,
Okay.
which we're going to have. I've been out doing voter registration drives, voting rights rallies. There's been a lot of misinformation in our community about who and what can vote. For example, a lot of people don't know that if they have been incarcerated and they are and they have done their parole and all that stuff, they are eligible to vote.
Wow.
And we're educating the community. So I'm out and about in the community. And my telephone number is 843-530-6473.
Great. Great. Final thing. When is the date that we can vote for you?
The early voting actually starts October 10th.
Got it.
And the absentee ballots, they're already sending the absentee ballots out. We need a change in Charleston County School District, and I am that person.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen. So for those that are watching, you just saw Mr. Lewis Smith. Again, you know the time frame. We need to vote some change in our actual school system, who's in charge, so we can make a difference. That's all the time I got. My name is Calvin of the Logan Power Show. We'll bring him back on next month. We need to find out some more things that's going on so we can make a difference. And we will see you all on next week.